Greetings everyone, it's Red Hunter. Welcome back to another part of Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition.
Brief history of still
we had
a
crash
Peleron will have to pay
last time.
Another fine.
So let's pick up this, pick up these empty potion bottles.
You there, cut it out.
That doesn't belong to us, you know.
You're right, it doesn't. Sometimes I get
Will have to pay yet another
a little
Happens to the
overzealous.
best of us. More than a few temptations accompany authority.
Altruistic gives us what? And yes, I did that deliberately. To get that pop up.
Volume 1, Volume 2.
If you have altruistic, reputation is increased by 2. If egotistical,
These books sprout little legs in the night.
bartering is increased by 1. Okay. Reputation's more important than no. Compassionate versus heartless.
Replace this book here.
Alright,
A volume of poetry among novels.
let's pick this up.
Mayhem.
Rad Extermination. Philosophy of Death. Which you actually need to read. And alright.
Volume 1, Volume 2. But where has the third one gone? Shatsu.
We'll be back here. Oh, Mr. Mayor. Let's talk, but yeah, my game crashed. I apologize for that.
What? Oh, hello again. Please tell me how I can help you during your investigations. I know your plate is full enough to fill you for days.
Tell me about the issues.
What? Oh, you mean Cyseal. Very difficult times indeed. As though the death of Jake and by source magic no less weren't enough. We're also facing all sorts of brutish intruders. The undead have overrun all but one northern trade route, while the orcs are making a habit of savaging our beaches. That's not to mention that at the top of this whole caboodle, there's rumors of some new religious sect or cult or some such, sticking its tendrils into the innocent, seven-fearing folks of Cyseal. And, while we're on the subject of troubles, I myself have a private matter I'd like to bring to your attention. It involves a magic relic I rather foolishly sought. A weapon called the Staff of Pergamon.
What is this?
The what of what now? Oh, you're speaking gibberish. Ah, you mean the Staff of Pergamon. Yes, yes. I was expecting a shipment of weapons, and among the cargo was this very powerful, very rare staff. I managed to place the order through means somewhat, atypical to a government official. Cecil proved an old fool, though, for the merchant slated to deliver it to me has just informed me that the damn thing has gone missing. I fear it may have fallen into the wrong hands, and I wonder if you could retrieve it for me.
Tell me about the merchant.
His name is Conrad, captain of the Tide Splitter, a merchant ship still docked at the Cyseal harbor. You can talk to him if you think it'd help, but I'd quite like to avoid getting the Legion involved, if you don't mind.
What do you know about the staff
The
itself?
staff itself contains a shard of an ore, highly valued for its use in the weapons of war. I know use of the material to be forbidden, but I was desperate to do something to aid the townsfolk against the undead.
Tell me more about the undead.
What? The undead? Yes, for the past 2 years those blasted skeletons have all but suffocated this city. With all but one trade route overrun, Cyseal's once torrential commerce has slowed to a pathetic trickle.
About Jake's murder.
Murdered? Oh yes, yes, now I recall. Indeed, I could hardly believe it myself. The Council and I have certainly had our differences over the years, but old squabbles evaporate under such circumstances. Most of the townsfolk are certain Jake's wife Esmeralda is responsible. In fact, the Legion have taken her into protective custody to keep her safe from the mob. As you can imagine, I've known Esmeralda for years. That business between her and the Duke of Ferrol was always a bit suggestive. But I've never had cause to suspect her of violence. Still, one never knows for sure.
Tell me about the Duke of Farrell.
An all-right bloke, apart from all this Esmeralda nonsense. The whole town knows the only goal of his business trips to Sicil is to spend a night or two at the King Crab Inn with Mrs. Counselor.
Can you tell me more about the sex?
Well, I do believe that's something your parents ought to have discussed with you long ago, Source Hunter. But I suppose if you really don't know, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least explain the basics. You see, when a lady and a fellow find each other rather nice, well, rather more than nice, they occasionally, well, they... Oh, this is nonsense. I'm the mayor for the 7th sake. I can't be bothered to chat all day about the birds and the bees when Sicil's under siege by orcs, undead, and cultists.
Tell me more about your orc librarian.
My dear girl, my darling adopted daughter, my pride and joy. I introduced her to my library when she was a girl. She quickly proved that the preconceptions we humans hold of orcs as savage beasts are patently false. If you're looking for something special, just ask. She knows every book by heart. Papa's smart little cookie.
I'll take my leave. Log, new entry added.
I knew that dark-dealing old man dabbled in sorcery. To the gallows, I say.
He's not a sorcerer, merely a simpleton. And if you'd hang each man for being a fool,
Let's
then
take that.
Enough of that now.
Okay, we won't take it. Huh? You gotta try. You can steal a lot in this game. So now we want to open the map, and we want to head towards the Legion headquarters. But if we were to go directly, I'll show you guys in a minute. Let's read this. This is Esmeralda's shop. She's one of our main suspects. Let's check here. Nope. 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 Yep. Let's check this wood pile. Look for some stuff we can take. Alright. There's nothing back here. You can see we're getting warm. We need to talk to her. Alright. Sometimes they'll refuse to talk to anybody but you.
Source Hunter. A sight for sore eyes if ever there was one. I know you're probably knee-deep in that awful murder investigation, but truth be told, the Legion could use your help as well. We've been conducting a series of expeditions into undead territory, and I'm afraid I must admit they've met with very little success.
Let's discuss the undead.
The undead. I pitied them at first. Many among them were once kind and innocent civilians of Sicil after all. No longer do I feel that way.
You pity the undead?
Too many of my soldiers have fallen. The dead must be put down without mercy, if we can.
I'm starting to think that you may not be suitable for your post.
The bravest among my men and women tell me they are weaker in the west and stronger in the east. So I suggest you head westward if you want to flex your muscles and test the waters before blindly diving to your death.
Thank you for your vote of self-confidence. With whom do I have the honor of
Lieutenant
speaking?
Selenia, at your service. I'm Captain Aureus' second in command. But rest assured, I am a lot more kindly inclined towards source hunters than he is.
Okay.
Now, I certainly don't mind a bit of healthy competition, and even rivalry between our orders. But I, for one, have no intention of looking a gift horse in the mouth. And that is exactly what your presence in Sicil is, source hunter. A gift and a blessing. Only heroes such as yourself can make a true difference in this troubled part of the world. Such is my honest conviction.
I'd like to talk about some matters concerning the Legion.
I shall be very glad to share what information I can give you.
Let's talk about the expeditions in the hostile
If ever
territory.
we want to be victorious in Sicil, we have to track down the root of the undead uprising. Under the Pact of Volunteers, 3 expeditions were launched to do just that. But so far, none of their participants have returned. 3 landmarks were chosen for further investigation. The lighthouse, the burial mounds, and the old church. Places fraught with danger all.
Regarding the lighthouse.
There's a lighthouse to the west, up on the bluffs, overlooking the sea. No man has gone there in a decade, and yet a light shines from its pinnacle every night.
Continue.
The locals say it's haunted, and half a dozen legionnaires have gone to find out whether or not those are mere tall tales. I fear for their safety.
So about the burial mounds?
There are ancient burial grounds to be found north of the city. As good a place as any to start looking for necromancers, wouldn't you say? A local archaeologist offered to tag along with the men. Here's hoping his knowledge on the subject may prove to be of use to them.
Let's discuss the old
There's
church.
a church to the northeast of here, built atop the very place where once stood a temple dedicated to the source. The Sicilians razed it, and built a church for the 7 instead, supposedly to symbolize the victory of the gods over evil sorcery. All superstitious mumbo-jumbo, if you ask me. But when the dead rose, that is when they were first spotted. Hence the expedition.
You mentioned a pact you made with your legionnaires.
So I did. The Pact of Volunteers. Many legionnaires will do whatever it takes to go home, which is why I personally sign their transfer orders the moment they make it back from a mission behind enemy lines. The chances of survival during these sorties are only about 1 in 10, you see. So my soldiers are free to volunteer, and if they are successful, they just bought themselves a boat ride home.
I'll take my leave. So, you can see in the log, we have, these are all our quests. And they're all active. Some of them are complete. So I'm going to filter out the completed ones so we only see those. So we can expand them. So we can look. And it even has times for them. And the talking statues. These are all reminders to quests to do them. Alright. Let's go in here.
Greetings!
Don't let that rooster escape! He's already on the menu for tonight!
Isn't it a chicken's destiny to be eaten? We should cook it and give it back to the...
True story indeed. Perhaps we too can have a bite later.
I thought I could trust you!
Yeah, well...
What can I do for you, Source Hunter?
I'll take my
And
leave.
so
but
let the hunt
I want to talk to you. You should talk to almost everybody.
That was close. Thanks for catching Fidgety Jack here. I guess he got nervous when I mentioned drumsticks. Let's have that bird then, shall we? Our troops are mighty hungry.
Alright, let's go upstairs. And we will find this woman.
Well, Source Hunter, you come to the right place, you have. I got every style of equipment to fit you from head to foot, if it's a trade you're after.
It is indeed a trade I'm after. So... we're gonna give you the broad skull, arrow shaft, blank water scroll, steam cloud arrowhead, a painting, this, we've read Crafting and Cooking, we've read The Adventurer's Field Guide, we haven't read these yet. We're gonna make a note to read books as soon as we pick them up so that we can safely sell them. You have a couple lockpicks. We'll be needing those for later. $331, we could buy it. These have +1 special bartering. Well, this one is +1 initiative. This one has bartering. These bracers have lockpicking and HP. This is an age robe that's better, and it's common. This is an antique robe that's even better, but it's common. This is crafting. This is air resistance and lockpicking. I don't know how much crafting we're going to get into in this game. If we do craft, it'll be later in the campaign when we can greatly enhance our weapons. For that, you just need somebody with a blacksmith skill and a crafting skill. You should not spread that out. Have one person in your party, preferably somebody that you don't take in your main party. One of your other companions has those skills. Oh, all right. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take these shoes and these braces and then gold, and we're gonna make that change. We're gonna close out. I'm gonna look at our inventory. We're gonna put on the not traveling boots. Alright, so now we have bartering skill. So we will be the one to handle all the transactions. Let's read this. When Source was tainted so many centuries ago, sorcerers who had once brought great good began to wield a force of evil. When one of their kind, Baracus Rex, came to power, he instigated a war that would have undone Rivellon if not for the Council of Seven. Those wise rulers ordered a new order of elite warriors, especially trained to fight the Source menace. Baracus was defeated and the Order of the Source Hunters began its legacy. Our objective is to eradicate the Source menace from Rivellon, one sorcerer at a time. Recognizing Source. Unlike other forms of magic, Source is particularly difficult to identify. Mages of many years' experience have learned to sense the presence of Source, as though they smell the sick sweet scent of poison, or hear the barely perceptible scrap of a sword loosened from its hilt. Source may be channeled through certain objects, weapons, gems, or metals. These are unpredictable as the Source itself, and may inflict terrible harm or the magnificent feats of healing upon either wielder or target. Methodology of a Source Hunter. Ours is an order of cunning and cleverness as much as strength and power. The well-trained Source Hunter will examine and question, lift every barrel and analyze each testimony for the faintest breath of a clue. Nothing is insurmountable. If some knot puzzles you, mark its location upon your map and return to it when you've learned a better method of untangling it. There are no limits to a Source Hunter's resolve. No riddle is unknowable, no foe unbeatable, no mystery unsolvable. Okay? We'll be taking your gold as well. We'll be taking the traveling boots. This. 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 And this. Let's read. Rejoice for the statues have granted my will. Okay. That can be sold. Alright, so. And yes, you can move items around in your inventory. We've already read it. Let's read it. Alright. Let's read it. Oh. Let's read it. It'll give us a bunch of recipes, which you can play with. I'm not super interested in, let's send this to our warrior. Cracking up the crowd, or a definitive. This is important, we'll come to this later. Let's read a pirate's life. Fun with fluids. We're going to sell the majority of these books. Adventurer's Field Guide. The log being updated means stuff is happening. Adventurer's Field Guide. Rat Extermination. Sorry, let's read the whole thing. Philosophy of death is important. In fact, keeping the philosophy of death is something you want to do. Don't, when you pick this up, don't sell it. At least not yet. Alright.
Well, Source Hunter, you come to the right place, you have. I got every style of equipment to fit you from head to foot, if it's a trade you're after.
We want to sell the majority of this, but not the philosophy of death. Sell rat extermination. Sell this. Sell this. Sell this. Maybe not sell the orders, but sell the boots. Alright. Sell the oil flask. Alright. You know, that's a rare item. I think it's everything we need from you. By the way, they keep everything you sell them, so you can always... There's certain tricks and stuff, I'll try to remember to point them out when I see them. I'll take my leave. So she's got bartering. Let's check my inventory. Braces go here. Nope. For the moment, we'll give ourselves HP and lockpicking. We're gonna send this to our warrior. Alright. As you can see, there's tons of stuff to do.
Stores are for our Legion troops. Rivellon's finest work up mighty fine appetite.
Before she could do any real damage.
Any real damage? Are you joking? I've been mauled. I'll be disfigured for life.
Alright, let's talk to her.
Come on with the dramatic.
Ice blue eyes, narrow beneath a heavy brow streaked with sweat and dust. Her hands tense into claws, held at the ready.
I mean, you know Harm Stranger, I wonder who
Her
you
brow
are.
knits together, but something in her pose relaxes. She clears her throat.
And you?
I am Bear Daughter. I have not come here to find trouble with the Screech woman. She only startled me. And you are a source hunter. I have heard many tales of your order. Your history is long and honorable.
What is that with finding companions that start out in cages? We found one in Dragon Age Origins, now we're finding one in Original Sin.
This woman here, the one who now plots her revenge, she crept behind me while I was hunting, and I only defended myself. I would not hurt an innocent Screech woman on purpose, but soon their swords were upon me, and they forced me into this cage meant for dogs. Mother would rip the fur from her chest if she could see how they keep me.
Alright. I'll take my leave. Let's talk to her.
Hey, who's that then? Come on, stand where my guy can see you.
Easy, Toe. That's the source hunter you're talking to.
Curious situation you've got here. Is the woman in this cage under arrest?
She may have the look of a woman if you squint hard enough, but she's no more than a wild animal. We got reports of a strange-looking outsider skulking through the town with her bow drawn. I found her crouched behind a tree, taking aim at a fat old rat trotting along the city walls. I tapped her on the shoulder to see what was what, and the beast startled like a wild cat and lunged right at me.
Bit Tullia right in the face, she did. It wasn't pretty, and now it's got a chunk ripped off it to boot.
Enjoy it while you can, Bert. There's not another legionnaire in the cohort that'll have you if they go rabid.
And what will become of this admittedly strange stranger?
I'd say you ought to take her off our hands if you had the space. Though we couldn't guarantee she'd do more than piddle on the floor and maul your furniture.
I'll take my leave. So, in order to recruit her, we've gotta...
You don't think it's infected, do you?
Come on now, I pulled her off you before she could do any real
We'll come
damage.
back to this.
Any real damage? Are you joking? I've been mauled.
But she is a companion. We're going to recruit her.
Dramatics, isn't it?
Let's not do this yet. Alright.
What have we we here, then? A so-called source hunter, eh? Well, look, do what you must in Sicil, but don't make waves and don't interfere with the Legion's affairs. You hear?
Excuse me, so-called?
I'm Captain Aureus, if you must know, leader of the Legion in Sicil. By which I mean I have the enviable task of commanding a battalion of walking dead. For I fear it may well be but a matter of time before the undead undo all my soldiers and turn them into dribbling hordes of their own misshapen number.
Let's discuss Jake's murder.
Gods above! Some politician snuffs it and everyone's in an uproar. Ridiculous! I told that wizard brat of an Ahu not to bother. He just had to send for source hunters, didn't he? Bloody magicians. They see a pigeon poop and think sorcery's afoot. Nevertheless, I want to be kept in the loop. Understand? I am in command of this town. Not Mayor Cecil, not Ahu, and definitely not some hotshot source hunter. So investigate Jake's death if you feel so inclined, but report back to me the moment you discover something out of the ordinary. The scene of the crime is over at the King Crab Inn. You can tell the guard you have my permission to enter. Now off with you!
In regard to Jake's wife.
Esmeralda is Jake's wife. Well, widow. Everyone in town, down to the crabs on the beach, is convinced she killed him. Now, the girl has the reputation of being a flirt. There is that. Suffice as evidence, wouldn't you say? Or do source hunters rely on hearsay alone, perhaps? That certainly would explain some of the cock-ups you lot have made in the past.
You know, you're not endearing yourself to me.
What? You're going to stand there and claim with a straight face your order never wrongly tortured and executed anyone? Hardly. But I won't stand for such nonsense. If you bring evidence before me, I'll evaluate it with perfect objectivity. The Legion relies on reason, see? Not idle superstition.
I'd like to take my lead. Let's go upstairs. Let's close this door. What an ass.
Ho-hum.
We might as well take this stuff. Check alt, see what's here. Pick up the training sword. Pick up the training sword. Why is this thing bothering me? Broom. Old wooden shield. Old wooden shield. Old buckler. Old buckler. Empty bottle. Empty bottle. Empty bottle. Just stuff for us to sell. Let's look inside of these things. Let's look inside these evidence chests. They're of course completely empty. They have no evidence. Let's go upstairs. And we'll talk to him next episode, but for now we're gonna save. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Red Hunter out.